Real quick before we dive in, if you're watching from the United States or any other country, drop your state in the comments right now. Just your state. I want to see how far this story reaches because what happened at that cafeteria could happen anywhere. It could happen in your town. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button because stories like this need to be told. They need to reach the people who need them most. Now, let me tell you about the note that changed everything. Thursday afternoon, Murphy's Family Diner on Route 7. The lunch crowd has thinned out, leaving behind the smell of grilled cheese and apple pie. Marcus Reaper Johnson sits at the counter, working through a plate of meatloaf while reviewing invoices from his motorcycle repair shop. At 42, with a full beard, tattoos covering both arms, and his leather vest hanging on the chair beside him, he's used to the stares, the way parents pull their kids a little closer when he walks by. But Marcus isn't here to scare anyone. He's just a guy having lunch, trying to keep his small business afloat, trying to prove that the leather and the patches don't define who he is now. That's when he notices her. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, sitting alone in a booth near the window. Her feet don't quite reach the floor. She's got a coloring book open in front of her, but she's not coloring. She's crying, trying to hide it, wiping her eyes with her sleeve, but her small shoulders shake with each breath. Marcus watches as a waitress stops by the booth. "Sweetie, where's your mom?" The little girl points toward the restroom. "She's in there. She's been in there a long time. You want some chocolate milk while you wait?" The girl shakes her head, goes back to staring at her coloring book through tear-filled eyes. Something about it doesn't sit right with Marcus. The way the kid keeps glancing at the door, the way she flinches when it opens, the way she's gripping a blue crayon so tight her knuckles are white. A few minutes later, a woman emerges from the restroom. Mid-30s, thin, moving carefully like everything hurts. She's wearing sunglasses even though they're indoors, and her makeup is heavy, the kind that's trying to cover something. She slides into the booth across from the little girl. "You okay, baby?" Her voice is gentle but strained. The little girl nods, but fresh tears spill down her cheeks. "Sophie, honey, we talked about this. You have to be brave, just a little longer." Marcus looks away, gives them privacy, but he can't unhear that. Can't unsee the way that Mother's hands are shaking as she reaches for her coffee cup. Can't ignore the way she keeps checking her phone with an expression that's pure fear. 10 minutes later, the woman pays the bill, and they start to leave. As they pass Marcus's seat at the counter, the little girl stops. Just for a second. She looks up at him with those big, tear-filled eyes, and then she does something that changes everything. She reaches up and presses something into his hand. A napkin, folded small and tight. Then she hurries after her mother, who's already at the door, not noticing. Marcus sits there, napkin in his palm. Opens it slowly. The handwriting is a child's, shaky letters in blue crayon, some spelled wrong, but the message devastatingly clear. "My daddy hurts my mommy. He's coming tonight to take me away. Mommy says she can't stop him. Please help us. I'm scared. Sophie Miller, 5555047. At the bottom, drawn in careful detail, is a house, with an address written beneath it, 2847 Oakwood Drive. Marcus reads it once, twice. His jaw clenches, his hands ball into fists around that napkin, and then he pulls out his phone. "Press, we need church, now, emergency." On the other end, Tommy Priz Martinez doesn't ask questions. When your brother calls with that tone, you answer. "I'll make the calls. 20 minutes. Marcus looks at the napkin again, at those crayon letters written by an 8-year-old who'd run out of options, who'd seen a scary-looking biker and decided he was safer than what was waiting for her at home. He doesn't know Sophie Miller or her mother, doesn't know their story, But he knows that look. He knows what it means when a child is that scared. When a mother can't protect her baby from the person who should love them most. And he knows that whatever's supposed to happen tonight at 2847 Oakwood Drive, it's not going to happen the way Sophie's father planned. Because in 20 minutes, 37 bikers are going to hear about a little girl who asked for help. And every single one of them is going to answer. If you believe that protecting children is everyone's responsibility, that courage can come from the smallest hands. Keep watching. Because this story is about to show you what happens when a community decides enough is enough. The Iron Brotherhood clubhouse fills fast. One by one, they arrive. Bikes rolling in, engines cutting out, boots on concrete. This isn't a social call. This is church, emergency session, and everyone who can make it shows up. Marcus stands at the head of the table, the napkin smoothed out in front of him, that childish crayon writing visible to everyone. Her name's Sophie Miller, 8 years old. She slipped me this at Murphy's Diner about 40 minutes ago. He reads it aloud, every word, including the misspellings, because somehow that makes it worse, makes it more real. An 8-year-old writing, "Please help us" in crayon because she has no other way to ask. The room goes silent. Not uncomfortable silence. The kind of silence that comes before action. Before good people decide what they're made of. "What do we know?" asks Press, leaning forward. "Just what's on the note. Address is 2847 Oakwood Drive. I called the number." Woman answered, sounded terrified. "Hung up when I said Sophie gave me a note, but I heard a little girl crying in the background." Rita Vixen Chen, the club's lawyer, is already on her tablet. Sophie Miller, 8 years old. Mother is Grace Miller, 34. Father is David Miller, 38. Separated 6 months ago. No custody agreement filed. No restraining orders. No police reports. She looks up. But there's history. Grace Miller called 911 3 times in the past 2 years. Domestic disturbance. Each time she declined to press charges. "Let me check something," says Raymond Snake Williams, former PI, pulling out his phone. He makes a call, talks quietly, hangs up. David Miller. Works in sales. Clean record officially. But I've got a contact at his company. Says he's got anger issues. HR's had complaints. Nothing formal, but people don't want to work with him. "Where's he live now?" Marcus asks. "Apartment in Clayton Heights, about 20 minutes from Oakwood Drive." Doc Mitchell, former Army medic, speaks up. "If he's coming tonight to take the kid, he's planning something. Custody grab, maybe. Force the issue before the courts get involved." "Or worse," says Carlos Tiny Rodriguez, voice grim, all 6'7" of him leaning forward. "If he's escalating, if he's threatened them before, tonight might not just be about custody." The weight of that settles over the room. Everyone knows what he means. Domestic violence doesn't always stay domestic. Sometimes it ends in tragedy. Sometimes the person who swore to love and protect becomes the greatest danger. "So what's the play?" Press asks Marcus. "We can't just show up and intimidate a father exercising his parental rights. We need to be smart about this." "First thing," Vixen says, "we need to talk to the mother, get her permission, make sure she actually wants our help." Marcus nods, pulls out his phone, dials the number from the note. It rings and rings. Finally, a scared voice answers. "Hello? Mrs. Miller? Grace? My name is Marcus. Your daughter Sophie gave me a note today at Murphy's Diner. She said you needed help." Silence. Then a whispered, "Oh God." "Ma'am, I'm not calling to make trouble. I'm calling because an 8-year-old asked me to help her. And I'd like to do that if you'll let me." "You don't understand. David, my ex-husband, he's coming tonight. He says he's taking Sophie. He says if I try to stop him, if I call the police, he'll hurt us both. He's done it before. He'll do it again." Does he have custody rights? We don't have an agreement. Nothing official. But he's her father. He keeps saying the courts will side with him, that he'll tell them I'm unfit, that I'm keeping his daughter from him. Marcus can hear the defeat in her voice, the exhaustion of someone who's fought so hard for so long and can't see a way forward. Grace, what if you weren't alone tonight? What if when David shows up there are witnesses, people who can document what he says, what he does, people who won't be intimidated? Who would do that? Who would stand up to David? He's got friends. He's got connections. Everyone thinks he's this. Great guy. I've got 37 friends here who don't care what people think. We care about protecting people who need it, especially kids. Will you let us help? Another long silence. Why would you do this? You don't even know us. Your daughter trusted me enough to ask. That's enough. Grace Miller starts crying. Real body-shaking sobs. Okay. Yes. Please. He said he's coming at 7. I've been trying to figure out what to do all day. Sophie's been crying. She's so scared. And I can't protect her, I can't. You're not alone anymore. We'll be there. Before 7. And Grace? Whatever happens, we document everything. Cameras, witnesses, all of it. The truth gets seen tonight. By 6:30 p.m., Oakwood Drive looks different. Not dramatically, not obviously, but if you knew where to look, you'd see them. Motorcycles parked a block away. Bikers positioned strategically, some looking like they're just walking, others sitting in a park across the street. Close enough to respond. Visible enough if you know to look. Marcus knocks on the door of 2847. Grace Miller opens it, and up close he can see what the sunglasses were hiding. A fading bruise around her eye. The kind that's a week old, but still visible. She's small, fragile-looking. The kind of person who seems like she might break if you touched her wrong. Behind her, Sophie peers out. The little girl from the diner. When she sees Marcus, her eyes go wide, but not with fear. With hope. "You came," she whispers. "Said I would." Marcus kneels down to her level. "You were very brave today, Sophie. Writing that note, asking for help. That took courage. My teacher says we should tell grown-ups when we need help, but Mommy said we couldn't tell anyone because Daddy would get mad." Grace's face crumbles. "Baby, I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you." Marcus stands, looks at Grace. "Here's what's going to happen. My friends are positioned outside. When David arrives, we let him say his piece. We document everything. If he's calm, if he behaves, we don't interfere. But if he threatens you, if he tries to take Sophie against her will, if he gets violent, we step in. Legal, documented, witnessed." "He's going to be so angry," Grace whispers. "Let him be angry where everyone can see it, where cameras can record it, where the mask comes off." At 6:55, a truck pulls up. Expensive, lifted, the kind that announces its presence. David Miller climbs out. He's tall, built, the kind of guy who works out and wants you to know it. He walks up to the house with the confidence of someone who's never been told no. He knocks. Hard. 3 sharp raps that sound like demands. Grace opens the door, Sophie behind her clutching her mother's leg. "Grace." David's voice is cold. "Get Sophie's things. She's coming with me for the weekend." "David, we talked about this. You can't just take her without notice." "I'm her father. I have every right. Get her things, now." She doesn't want to go. Look at her. She's scared. David's expression hardens. "She's scared because you've been poisoning her against me, telling her lies. That stops now. Sophie, come here, we're leaving." Sophie presses closer to her mother, shaking her head. "Sophie, I'm not asking again." The little girl starts crying. "I don't want to go, Daddy. You yell at Mommy. You hurt her." David's face flushes. "That's a lie. Grace, what have you been telling her?" "The truth. that you hit me, that you threatened us, that I'm scared of you." "You're making a mistake," David says, voice dropping to something dangerous. "You're keeping my daughter from me. That's parental alienation. I'll take you to court. I'll get full custody. I'll make sure you never see her again." He steps forward, into the doorway. Grace backs up, pulling Sophie with her. "Get out of my house, David. This is my daughter. I'm taking her." And that's when Marcus steps into view from where he'd been standing just inside the hallway. "Actually, you're not." David stops. Stares. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who was asked for help." Marcus doesn't move, just stands there, 6 feet of calm presence between David and his targets. "This is a private family matter. Get out before I call the cops." "Please do. They should be here for this." David's eyes narrow. Then he notices movement outside. The bikers, no longer hidden, standing in the yard, on the sidewalk, visible through the windows. 37 of them. All watching. "What is this? What the hell is going on?" "Your daughter asked for help," Marcus says simply. "She wrote a note, said she was scared, said you were coming to take her, said her mom couldn't stop you, so we're here to make sure everyone's safe." "You brought a gang to my family's house? You're insane." "I'm protecting a child who's afraid of her father. You have a problem with that?" David's jaw clenches. His hands ball into fists. For a moment, the mask slips completely. The rage underneath is visible, raw, dangerous. "You have no right. None of you have any right to interfere." Sophie has a right to be safe. Grace has a right to not be threatened in her own home. Those are the rights we care about. Vixen appears in the doorway, tablet in hand. "Mr. Miller, I'm Lisa Chen, attorney at law. I've been documenting this entire interaction. You've attempted to force entry, you've threatened the mother with custody action designed to intimidate her, and you've insisted on removing a child who's clearly expressed she doesn't want to go with you. That's not exercising parental rights. That's coercion. This is ridiculous. Sophie's my daughter." "Then file for official custody through the courts. Schedule supervised visitation. Follow legal procedures. But you don't get to threaten your way into compliance." David looks at Grace, at Marcus, at the bikers outside, at the cameras recording. He's cornered, and he knows it. "This isn't over," he says, voice shaking with barely contained rage. "I'm calling my lawyer. I'm filing for emergency custody. I'm going to prove you're an unfit mother, Grace. And you," he points at Marcus. "I'm pressing charges. Intimidation. Harassment. All of you." "You do that," Marcus says calmly. "We'll be happy to show the judge the video of you trying to force a crying 8-year-old to leave with you against her will." David storms out, gets in his truck, slams the door so hard the whole vehicle shakes. He peels out, tires squealing, leaving angry black marks on the pavement. Sophie is sobbing, but this time it's relief. Grace pulls her close, holds her tight. "It's okay, baby. He's gone. We're safe." Marcus kneels down again. "Sophie, you did the right thing. Writing that note, asking for help. That was the bravest thing you could do. Are you going to stay? What if he comes back? We'll be around. And your mom's going to file some papers with the court that make sure your dad can't just show up and scare you anymore. Right?" He looks at Vixen. "Restraining order. Emergency custody petition. I'll have it filed by morning. With 37 witnesses and video footage of his behavior tonight, it'll be approved." 2 weeks later, Grace and Sophie sit in family court. David Miller is across the aisle with his lawyer, still maintaining his perfect mask for the judge. But Vixen has brought evidence, videos of his threats, witness statements from 37 bikers, medical records showing Grace's injuries, a child psychologist's evaluation of Sophie describing trauma consistent with witnessing domestic violence. The judge, a stern woman who's heard every excuse in the book, reviews everything carefully. Then she looks at David Miller. "Mr. Miller, I'm granting a restraining order. You are to have no contact with Ms. Miller or Sophie except through court-supervised visitation, which will begin only after you complete anger management counseling and parenting classes. David's mask cracks again. Your Honor, this is based on lies. Mr. Miller tried to take Sophie away, but justice stood in her corner. The judge ruled that he couldn't come near her again. Outside the courthouse, Sophie ran into Marcus's arms. Her small face lit up. We won! Daddy can't come home anymore. Marcus smiled, eyes soft. You won, kiddo. You were brave enough to ask for help. 3 months later, the Iron Brotherhood's clubhouse looked nothing like people imagined. The rumble of bikes was replaced by kids' laughter, bounce houses, and the smell of burgers on the grill. Sophie was running around, chasing bubbles, her laughter bright and free. Grace watched her, tears in her eyes, but this time they were happy ones. She's doing better than good, Grace said. She's being a kid again. Doc nodded beside her. Takes guts to heal. She's got plenty. Now, every week, Grace runs a support group for women who've lived through what she survived. The Brotherhood sponsors it, guards the doors, makes sure everyone feels safe. What started with 10 women has grown to 23. 23 lives learning they're not alone anymore. All of it began with one 8-year-old girl who handed a crumpled note to a biker who looked dangerous but turned out to be her guardian angel. If this story touched you, do 3 things. Comment, protect the children. Share it. Someone out there needs to see this. And remember, the scariest-looking people sometimes have the biggest hearts. Be someone's Marcus, because one small act of courage can change everything.